Thank you so much for joining us for Focus on Excellence. My guest is one of my dear friends, Colonel Oscar Poole, who's a legend all over the country. And Oscar, you were the big hit at the Republican convention. You got more press than anybody. And all anybody needs to do is to Google you, and they can see all the press you got at the Republican convention, all the things you've done. How did it feel to you to be named, to get all that publicity, Oscar?
Well, I felt very humble. First of all, I didn't know it. I was getting all that publicity, but they say I did, and it felt pretty good. Of course, I like attention. I'll be honest with you.
Really? I'm shocked.
I think this yellow suit, top hat, and this yellow suit did it.
Well, the amazing thing was you were standing in front of the Romney box, and right behind you was the governor of South Carolina, Vicki Haley. Instead of interviewing Vicki Haley, the press interviewed Oscar Poole. They picked you over the governor. That's amazing.
And again, I say I didn't even know it. I didn't know where I was. I was just walking around the floor there at the convention, and I didn't know I was in front of Vicki Haley.
Well, Oscar, that is amazing. Now, the amazing thing about you and Edna, you started your business nearly 25 years ago. You're going to have a big celebration for the 25th year next year.
Yeah, Edna says we are.
Okay.
25th
well, you need to do that. Anyway, you and Edna started, you were 59 years old. You started your business with a minus $35,000 capital.
We were broke.
You were broke. Yeah. High in the world. That's the most amazing, ladies and gentlemen, that's the most amazing success story in the history of America. I've never heard of anybody starting with minus 35. How'd you do it?
Oh, my goodness. Well, first of all, I had some tricks under this hat. Right here, what the mind can conceive, the heart believe, you can achieve. And here it is right here. Can you see that?
Yes.
CBA, conceive, believe, achieve. Now that's philosophy, but 1,001 ways God did it. I'd be remiss if I didn't say that. You know, I'm a retired preacher. I was a pastor here in this county. I was pastor of the Harrisons, who own and run this.
Isn't this a great station?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, here we are. We're broadcast to 5 counties, 100,000 people.
And who knows what could be done with this video. This could be seen all over the world.
Yes.
And it is, isn't it?
Yeah,
on
sure.
Streaming?
You can stream it all over. Yes. George Wing can tell you about how to listen and how to watch. But it is amazing. When Oscar, you have been such a success. Do you ever pinch yourself and say, I'm over at the barbecue, people come up to you, they want your autograph, they want a picture taken with you? How does that make you feel when you started this? And by the way, let's talk about the time I went over to see Oscar, and I'm supposed to be an encourager, and he had that little shack, and I walked on the floor, and I was afraid I'd fall through the floor and get hurt. And Oscar said, Joe, come on back. He had been in business about 2 months and said, I want to talk to you about it. I want to help Free Enterprise. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the thought went through my head, this poor fool won't be here 3 months. And I'm supposed to be an encourager. Well, little did I know that he became
And you aren't the only one who said that. The other man gave me 6 months. I'm not going to say who it was.
Yeah.
So a leading figure in this county came by and said that. I didn't tell him about Free Enterprise, but that's what we did. We are an American story. I realized that. A Cinderella story. We were 35,000. My goodness, we had to work. We worked 24/7. 7 days a week.
And you were 59 years old.
Yes. And we had to look up to see bottom. And it's quite a precarious place to be. But we were there, and we worked. Edna and I, my wife.
Yes. Wonderful wife.
She's a key figure in me.
Right.
Without Edna, I couldn't find my socks. These red ones or blue ones or any kind. And you know, my goal is to be 124.
Yeah, you're going to do that. We talked about your funeral. Remember that?
Yes, that's already been on TV, yeah. on this set right here.
Right.
You and the funeral director discussing my horse-driven...
Well, now, talking about that, Oscar, we thought we were going to lose you, and you got the heart valve. You got a great write-up in the Piedmont Hospital magazine. Tell us about that.
Well, I'm a guinea pig. I'm a Medtronic guinea pig. The procedure I had 4 years ago, I had a stroke. And the man said, my cardiologist, who was right there with a doctor from Emory University and one more doctor, and they said, to me, we cannot do anything for you. What? We cannot do anything for you. I said, are you sending me home to die? It aggravated him, so I said it again. I live here. But I heard a voice. Watch out now. I'm a preacher, you know, and some of this theology is coming out. I heard a voice inside which said, there'll be a new technique. And a year later, that same doctor said, there's been a new technique. I put the two together. I exercise my faith. I call on my friends. And I have this. I have it. It's not been FDA approved yet. It's in the process. I was one of the first few in America to have this core valve, they call it. And Medtronic paid for all. Thank the Lord for that. And here we are talking about Obamacare and all these scary. Can you imagine how thankful I am that I have this core valve? They brought the doctor in from Italy to lead the team, and here I'm lying there receiving this 2 years ago. It took 2 years to get it, so I have it, and yes, they've used my body to make medical history in this country, and I so appreciate that, because I want not only my body but my mind, all of my being, to be on the cutting edge of what's going on in the country right now.
Well, and so it's a miracle that you're here today, and it's been
Yes.
2 years, and the doctor gave you a great bill of health.
Oh,
right?
yeah. I asked him this question, both doctors. Dr. Roger Gopal, Indian descent, and my local doctor, Dr. L. Terry. Excuse me. I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, what is my health? And they said, both of them said 10, except one doctor said, except in the head.
That's funny. Well, Oscar, and also you're back to exercising. You're doing some walking, the barbecue, right?
I walk 1.2 miles a day.
That is fantastic. Well, Oscar, if you had to say, we got a break here in a minute, coming up about a minute before the break, what would you say, what catapulted you to be the success you are today? Is there any one thing that you could tell the audience that somebody's thinking about starting a business? What do you say to them?
Success is in my DNA. I was a successful entrepreneur at age 12. I pedaled a bicycle delivering the Miami Herald for 21 miles before breakfast.
Wow.
In Florida. And it's been in me. Challenges. I've always had a challenge and been goal-oriented. College was the same, all of my life's been that. Just one more challenge, and boy, that was a challenge to stay alive. But the barbecue, 8-foot but 10-foot shack over on the side of the road, as you said, wouldn't. You thought it, well, I don't know what I'm saying.
Well, Oscar, everybody's proud of you. You made a great name for yourself. You're a legend.
I appreciate all this.
And okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some more famous, the great famous Oscar Poole and some of the things he's done. Thank you so much for joining us for Focus on Excellence. Thank you so much for joining us to Focus on Excellence. My guest today is the great Colonel Oscar Poole, who's known all over the country, a truly great American success story. When Oscar, there are 24 million small businesses in America.
27.
27 million now, okay. And of course, you've always been a champion of small business. How are you going to use these 27? You and I both for David Pennington, I think we got 600,000 small businesses in Georgia. Do you think those 600,000 can elect David Pennington governor of Georgia?
They alone could. You take 27 million small businesses times 3, that's 81 million, and we could get together and control any election for anybody, anytime. The Small Business Coalition, of which you and I started, which you can get on the internet. These facts are true. We can elect, but we have not been united. And Lord save us from unions. We don't want any union, but together we can do anything.
So we're talking about, by the way, Oscar and I are inviting, and our dear friend George Wynn, who's an incredible help to both of us, right?
Yes.
George Wynn, it means a lot to both of you.
He's my personal attache.
He's a great American. Now we're working to with some help, bring the great Ted Cruz. Both of us think he'll be, or I think he'll be president. We want to bring him to Poe's Barbecue and be on the television show here.
Yes, we do. And we've got the connections. We've got Linda Umberger, and we've got Lisa Roper.
Well, Linda Umberger, to tell them who she is, she's a very powerful woman in Georgia.
Over in Dawsonville. She's
chairman of the party.
Yeah, chairman of the party over there. And she's an activist amongst the women of the party, Republican women. So is Lisa Roper from Texas, and so is Amy
Kramer, who's going to be on the show December. She is head of the Tea Party, and she's been on The View. She's been on CNN, Fox. She's going to be here December the 19th.
And she just showed up at the barbecue Sunday.
And said Ted Cruz stays at her house.
Yes.
Well, she stays at Ted's house.
So let's get Ted Cruz here.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it. Okay, Oscar, go back to the small business a minute. Now, I would say you are the spokesman, in my opinion, for the 27 million small businesses. You're the champion. I mean, what you've done, I don't know any success story in America like yours.
Well, I'm sure there are others, and I appreciate the whole the world. And the world has seen us in that shack. We started out with an 8-foot by 12-foot shack on the side of the road, being a friend of man. And the world has seen this. And I'm so honored. We were 59 years of age. I'm now 83, going on 84.
You're going to live to 122, aren't you?
Well, our goal is 124.
Okay, 124. Okay.
124. And Edna wants to live to be 122 because I can't find my socks without her.
That's great. Well, Oscar, what else is on the Oscar Poole agenda? You're helping David Pennington be elected governor, Karen Handel Senate, Barry Loudermilk to Congress. Now let's go to Tom Graves. You and I were instrumental in getting him elected. Yes. And the rumor is that Cruz is going to be the presidential candidate and Graves vice president. Would that please you?
Oh, certainly it suits me. You know, Tom Graves rode around in my Piglet.
I remember that.
And we oinked for 3 hours. that loudspeaker on the front of the. Yeah. I know that's crazy, but that's, you know, I told the Chamber of Commerce one time right here in Gilmer County, the sillier I get, the more money I make. And I want to throw this out. I said it 25 years ago, I think, or 20 years ago. Oscar Poole, want to do for the pig what Walter did for the mouse. Now, somebody figured that riddle out.
I know how Disney stock, I'm a Disney stockholder. Boy, it's done great. Now, so if you do 10% as good as Walt Disney.
I just said a wild thing, but that's my nature. I am wild.
Well, I mean, look at the odds against you. You did it, so I'm not going to ever say, Oscar, it can't be done.
This is a goal I still have.
That's great.
I haven't done for the pigs.
Now, any other goals while we're on goals, and we're going to talk about some people that mean a lot to both of us. Any other goals you have? Some other goals?
Well, I want to live to be 124 and have a sensible mind and not be a problem to anybody. I don't want to be a problem. I want to. Well, I'm doing right now on this TV show one of my goals right now.
And by the way, it's amazing to me that when I grew up, I always dreamed of having my own television show. I never dreamed about ETC being here, but isn't it remarkable? And you were a preacher for Albert Harrison. Isn't it wonderful what the ETC, the Harrison family, has done? This is the #1 asset in North Georgia.
I know it.
Where we can get on the air and talk to 100,000 people.
As I said earlier, I was a pastor of Albert Harrison and Marion, his wife, and his family.
They're
John,
great people.
And the whole family.
And all the people here are great people. The employees here want Phil, and all the people here are wonderful people.
Of course, this is as modern as WSB and WAGA in Atlanta.
Yeah, you're right. Well, Oscar, Ross Mason, we paid tribute to George Wynn. George, you and I couldn't do without George. George is a super, he's a workhorse. He's a workhorse. You and I are show horses.
One of my heroes.
Yeah, he is. George is, we can't say enough good about George Wynn.
George Wynn. I love George Wynn, and I don't want to be without George Wynn.
Well, I don't either. Kelly told me if something happened to George Wynn, Daddy, you're in trouble. But anyway, okay, we talked about the great George. Ross Mason. Ross Mason is a hero to me, and I know how about this man is paralyzed, and yet he meets with the world's top people. He and my son Kelly just met with Denise D'Souza, who's filming a movie in Atlanta or somewhere. 2000, he did the Obama 2016, now he's doing 2000, and your Sonny Park, who's another hero of mine and yours, he's going to be in the movie.
He's been to the barbecue, and he's been on this set right here with you.
Right.
we hang around at the top. Steve Spurrier said, if you want to be successful, hang around at the
Say
top.
Say that again, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to be successful, what do?
Hang around at the top. Well, I hang around at the top.
You sure do.
You're at the top.
Well, we have a lot of fun, don't we?
Yeah.
But now, Oscar, Ross Mason, have you ever seen anybody that's got a pie? How would you be if you were paralyzed?
Well, don't just tell the public here he's a paraplegic.
Yes.
Got stung under a helmet riding a bicycle, and he's paralyzed from his neck down. But he is in contact with the world. He's an inspiration to me and to you and many others, of course, a graduate of Georgia Tech. And I wouldn't want to be without Ross Mason.
Well,
I know you have. I've called Ross Mason. He prays for
He prayed for my ribs. When I broke my ribs, he called me up and said, Mr. McCutchen, I want to pray for you. And he did the greatest prayer on the phone for me.
He prayed for me.
Yeah.
It's heart valve thing.
Yeah. Well, he's a great guy. And, of course, Sonny Park, can you believe what he did? Came over here with no money. It's about as impressive as your story. No money, couldn't speak English, and he wanted to pay $1 million in taxes, and he's doing it.
He's doing it. Now, next week we're going to have on the show
Hans Rufert, who's used to work here, and a great guy. His daddy came from behind the Iron Curtain, went to the Woodbridge, didn't have any money, and made it into a successful restaurant. And now Hans runs it. And Hans has been on the Food Network. He's going to be here next week and going to eat with you at the Poole barbecue. But that's another great success story. He's had stomach cancer, and he's alive. And he's going to be on the show. Isn't that amazing?
That's wonderful.
Isn't that incredible?
That just accentuates just hanging around the top.
Yeah. Well, now, Oscar, before we go to the break, we got a minute before the break. You had mentioned to me Truett Cathy and Colonel Sanders. Now, you're the Colonel Sanders of Poole's Barbecue, the Colonel Sanders. And how about Truett Cathy? You've invited him to be on my television show.
Yes. Now, Truett's having some health problems.
He's
Truett
91
is
or
92, I believe.
Okay.
And I have a strong connection with his pastor, Jonesboro, who went to school with me at Louisville, same time, same year, same building project. And his daughter's name is Cheryl, very close friends. And Cheryl, if Truett's up to it, he's going to come be a guest at the barbecue and also on this show.
Boy, I'd love that.
That's the plans if his health allows.
Okay. Well, Oscar, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to the great Oscar Poole about Ted Parrish, some of the other guests we're going to have on the television show, and the great Oscar Poole and some of his many, many accomplishments, and he's still fired up and wanting to be even more successful. Thank you so much for joining us for Focus on Excellence. Thank you so much for joining us for Focus on Excellence. I'm with one of my heroes and best friends, Colonel Oscar Poole, truly a great American, a man who started a business with minus 35,000 and is now known all over the country. Oscar, before we go to what do you think about where the country is going, what do you think of Ronald Wilson Reagan?
Well, we need another Ronald Reagan, and
Ted Cruz maybe.
I'm beginning to believe from what you said. I have a lot of, I couldn't have done this barbecue without you. I don't care what you say. A lady one time said, that's why I say, remember Jackie. She said to me, oh, you're a good promoter and all that stuff. But she said, having Joe Kelly McCutchen as your friend hadn't hurt. Understatement of the year. And I appreciate you, and I certainly appreciate you having me on this program. Ronald Reagan, we're suffering right now from lack of leadership. And there's some lions showing up who have fire in their belly. That's the best statement I've heard about Ted Cruz. They say he was outspent 5-1.
And he won.
For the U.S. Senate race in Texas. And right now, he's leading this fight to defund Obamacare. Don't fund.
And Tom Graves is the co-sponsor.
And Tom Graves. And I've heard that he, through you and others, that the talk scuttlebutt is that Ted Cruz and Graves might be the ticket.
Wouldn't that be great? You talk about a conservative ticket for the taxpayers. Wouldn't that be the best in history?
I'm saying if we can bring...
Ladies and gentlemen, we're saying this here. Cruz Graves, Cruz president, Graves vice president.
If we can bring Cruz... We've already had Graves most.
Graves been on many times.
Many times. If we can bring Ted Cruz here, I will personally get a band out there, and all the media we'll make a splash.
Well, I'm convinced we're going to get Ted Cruz. I think it'll be great. Well, Oscar, you wanted to talk about where you and I, I'm an optimist, and I think long term you are too. But you have some thoughts on where the country's going. Give us your thoughts.
Yes, a man made a speech, and if I call his name, you'd know it. But I'm not going to call his name.
Okay.
But he talked about the 7 cycles of history. 7, rise and fall of man. He said in 1950, when I was 20 years old, 1 month before I got married, that either man, we're in a crisis. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we are, I want you to hear me now, we are on the verge of political suicide. It's either or. Either we'll ascend to the untold heights. This was spoken in my hearing. I was only 15 feet from the person who said this, a leader in this country who's now deceased, I'm not going to call his name, or will descend into the lower. We're in a crisis this very day that we were recording this program, and there are powers that be that are leading us in the wrong direction. Unless we have a turnaround, none of these great things, the ascendancy of man, but we'll plunge America for exceptionalism under guys like Reagan and other giants that led us down this path. We are headed either in an upward fashion, I'm afraid, in a descendancy, and we're going to fall off a cliff. We're right there today, and we need to pray, and we need to turn this country around, and that's why we're suggesting men like Graves and
Ted
Cruz and others who are showing up. We're in a crisis, and we need to turn this country around.
Well, I agree with that. Well, Oscar, let me go back to small business a minute. If people watching this program, we have some 100,000, say some young people, some elderly people, whatever, they want to start a business. They want to be successful like you. What advice, this is very important, what advice would Colonel Poole give them to be successful? This man is a marketing genius.
I'd say join me on Facebook, befriend me, Oscar Poole is my name, and I'll talk to them individually.
You'll help them, don't charge them anything, right?
No, I'll be glad to come to where they are, or they can come to at the barbecue. Anybody can, and I'll be glad to discuss.
You'll be giving them free advice. You'll be happy to do that.
Certainly.
Well, Oscar, so you're a giver. You feel like God's been good to you, and you want to share your success by helping other people succeed. Is that correct?
Without God, I wouldn't even be here.
Well, so you would say though, how about some of just the quick facts to make? But you get up early. You'd advise somebody to get up early.
5 o'clock in the morning.
Have a vision.
I got some notes here, if I may read for them.
Sure, go ahead.
Have a good wife.
You have, Edna.
And of course, we talked about you got to have a product, a good product.
Good barbecue.
And it's got to be quality control. It's got to be good visibility. And you got to be on the TV when you can, media. Have a friend like Joe. Hard work. The GOP's helped me.
The Grand Old Party, that's the Republican Party, is that correct?
Have good imagery, like a suit.
In other words, stand out. You do something, you stand out. You got the pigs on the hill, you got your suit there, you've got your pigmobile. You got to be different. You got to show you're different. Is that right?
Yes, unique. Be yourself and quit trying to copy somebody else.
That's great advice. Be yourself.
And be friendly.
Be friendly.
And the customer comes first.
Customer comes first.
And he's not always right, but around our place he is, because we listen to what he has to say. Sometimes we make mistakes.
And then you would say also, I'm sure, be around successful people that inspire them to do better, right? Like you inspire me, and George Wynn inspires me.
And have goals.
Have goals. And then keep updating your goals. And also, too, what did the great Winston Churchill say, if you have a couple of faith?
Never give up.
Yeah, and you never have. I mean, it's amazing to me. You started the business there with, we got about 30 seconds, Oscar.
I've still got gold.
Anyway, and you're 83 years old. Ladies and gentlemen, this man is 83 years old. He still wants to succeed. He's a great American. Oscar, great interview.
Thank you, Joe.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Oscar Poole, thank you so much for joining us for Focus on Excellence.